Hi there, this is Alice on Liberated Journey. Today I'm going to be talking about sexuality and why it's important for our spirituality from a transgender perspective. I am very passionate about talking about this. It's not talking about necessarily talking about having sex. It's talking about the tool behind sexuality for collective healing. So when I went through my transition, I experienced something very unusual where as I was transitioning and identifying more from a man to a woman, I experienced a flip-flop in my sexuality. I wasn't expecting that to happen. I was thinking it would be consistent and I would just change who I was and I would be the same. And for a lot of trans people, they will experience where it does stay, but for me, it flip-flopped. Well, after my divorce, that was the first time, and this was like when I was in my 20s, I started dating men for the first time. And was that a shit show? I dated 100 or 200 men, and I just experienced a lot of rejection, ghosting, shame, finding out they were married, like all the horror stories. And I can laugh about it now because I realize I did it all to myself. But what was really important is I decided to do something out of love, and as I created a support group on Facebook for these men that are trans attracted, trans amorous, because they didn't have a community to talk about their own struggles. And when I did that, my guides recognized that and it led me down a path of healing, where I later met my boyfriend at the time who practiced Tantra, and was able to lead me into a place where I was starting to reconnect with the divine. And my third eye opened. I got to see for myself like all these spirit beings that are supporting us, and remember that we're eternal beings. Everything's okay. We're all a part of God. Well, what I want to talk about in Tantra is there's the fundamental teaching of Shiva and Shakti. And this, you can think of it as like the divine masculine or feminine. More specifically in Tantra teaching is really about like consciousness and energy. But because we're talking about sexuality and gender, I want to talk about how that represents man and woman. Because there's a third term that goes with that, and it's the Ardnarashwa. Might have slaughtered a little bit the word, but what that means is the divine union of Shiva Shakti. And in the picture, you can actually see it looks like a representation of a non-binary person, of a transgender person, of a being. And that brought me so much joy, because at the time, I thought I was a misfit. I thought there was something wrong, and that, why would I have to change my body? You know, like I thought my body would be just fine the way I, started off, but it's not. It's a beautiful story I get to share, where I went through this transition across this gender polarity. But what I learned there is this beautiful gift that I get to hold on to, being an androgynous person. What that's teaching is that we have the man, the woman, and we have the androgynous. That's a part of the transgender, non-binary, and all the other identities that are fluid, right? They combine those energies of man and woman. But what we're failing to see is that we come from Ardnarashwa. It's not the other way around. God creates us from God. And what I'm saying is that we're all an aspect of God. But there's something very special about the androgynous, because that is going back into a representation of our true form, as a representation, as a way that we can understand it in human form. So the reason why I explain this is because as I discovered Tantra and I started going through more healing, I realized that my sexuality kept on evolving. And I started becoming attracted to different types of people. You'll hear relationship coaches talk about this, but for a lot of people get stuck in the same loop where you'll essentially be dating the same person over and over again. that's essentially what happens when you don't address your trauma, your karma. And so, but when you go through that enough, you start to realize that sexuality becomes fluid, and there's no accident to that. I can see now that just the acknowledgement through the sex chakra of understanding how we are connecting is a really important aspect of how we're embracing love, because we are one, and sexuality is a reflection of how we're loving ourselves in an outward sense, because we're all transgender. We all have the energies that we can collect, right? And we choose to be able to harness certain ones for sake of experience. But when we recognize this, we are able to effectively work with one another. Like all those obstacles, all those stories where we're saying the world is just a horrible place, a lot of that goes away. Like it's a vibration that we're putting out there. And so I see sexuality as a tool for our evolution. Like, yes, I mean, like it'll also free the androgynous, right? Right now there's a lot of a lot of the hesitation, a lot of like this big wall for the majority of the collective to be in a intimate relationship with someone that is androgynous. It is changing for the younger generations. Millennials, baby boomers, whew, yeah, it's like that's been my life story. And part of that I own, because I realize that's a part of my own story. But I also can observe where we are for the collective stories. So what does this mean? When we are working together in this world and we have shame around who we are attracted to, that is a reflection of how we're loving God, how we're loving ourselves, because I am my own God, you're your own God, there's a God up there too, all at the same time. And to get this concept to be a little bit more clear, it's like as we work on ourselves, we heal the world. When you heal yourself, you heal the world. Well, your sexuality also expresses that. When you acknowledge, oh wow, that person's beautiful. Oh, I'd love to give him a hug. It's like, yeah, that's a part of the chakras. And to realize that there's a beauty and a reverence for pansexuality, a reverence for the queer vibration, because there's a lot there. Just to be able to translate is like here we have a lot of survival instinct to try to survive and be able to have like tribal groups in order to, like, this is wired into our animal nature. But a lot of that is not necessary when we realize that we're safe. And so when we're able to go through that upgrade, essentially, we're able to experience a whole different way of connecting, because now it's about creativity and interaction and newness and the ingenuity of how we get to work together as separate beings. So, like, I'm trying to paint a different picture with that stands for in queerness, but I can definitely call out the fact that there's a lot of shame towards the idea of being queer. There's a lot of pride, and a lot of people don't put a lot of thought into this. They'll immediately say, like, I'm straight. You know, it's just like a default. And part of that is because we're not encouraged to explore inward and heal ourselves and to really see what the past has done to us, and at least how we hold on to the past in our bodies. Right? There's a lot of wisdom that's in yoga and tantra, and this is more of a tantra aligned way of talking about it, because it's an outward meditation. So I'm going to end this where I want to give some words of hope. If you are transgender, non-binary, anywhere in the androgynous, I want to let you know that if you're experiencing rejection and feel like the world's out to get you and your political agenda, know that in this lifetime, you can have so much fun. And there's so many healing modalities. I'm a guide, by the way. You're welcome to reach out. But there are so many healing modalities. It's just a matter of being courageous to confront what's there in you. And for the collective, the binary, or how we embrace, because we're all the same, to know that we have opportunity to heal ourselves by connecting. And so with this new love that I'm embracing, I'll let you know that I'm here for you, but I realize that you have shame, most likely, towards connecting with me or someone that's androgynous. And to know that when you're ready to confront what's inside of you, that anxiety, that depression, all those crazy emotions, that all adds up, that I'm going to be here for you to give you a big hug and a smile saying like, yeah, we're going to do just fine. Yeah, I love you.